back to the channel. This is your January 2024 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, then this reading is for you. It's Romy. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to open up this month with the energy of the Hierophant, and you're right where you need to be this month. So don't let any sense of urgency interfere with really some of the beautiful and natural ways that things can actually unfold for you. You've learned a lot, and there's definitely this feeling of a new take on things. And part of that, from your perspective, is about wanting to eliminate where the extremes continue to exist in your life, where there are things that kind of set you off and it's sort of this all or nothing, and it just feels like it's constantly taking you on that roller coaster and that merry-go-round. And the frequency and the energy this year is very different, but it's going to take a little time to move through the month of January and really ascertain what that means to you and how it feels for you. Now, Mercury stations direct on the 2nd of the month, definitely opening things up in a positive way, especially if there have been more challenging communications happening over the holiday season. We also have Mars in Capricorn from the 4th of the month, and this is an incredibly helpful energy for you to work with, especially for those closer personal relationships. Mars in Capricorn gives us direction. It helps us to question things. What do we want? Why are we doing this? And it gives this sort of realistic outlook. So tempers some of that impulsivity that Mars brings and kind of grounds everything. And again, with that energy of the Hierophant, we might be talking about what we're devoting to, what we're committing to, and just being able to have more open, frank discussions and dialogues. So as you reflect on what you may still be chasing, so when I say that, what does it feel like you're chasing? Where is that urgency energy coming from? And what does it represent to you? Okay, that's one of the things that's going to be front and center on your mind. And as we make our way towards the new moon in Capricorn, which will arrive on the 11th at 20 degrees, there's some beautiful conversations with Neptune and Uranus, which means that we have this earthly energy that's helping us to find some structure and some discipline to sort of wrap around that new beginning. But we also have this desire for freedom. And we have what I want to say is almost going to feel like a slightly transcendent experience with Neptune coming in here as well. And, you're the one that has to live with your decisions, Cancer. And this is certainly a year where I think you want to have no regrets. You want to move fearlessly and be guided instinctively. And, things are going to support you in taking risks. But what is being asked of you is to ensure that you cultivate this strong foundation within you that sort of allows for a sacred, soft place to land. So that as you do have to make some of those bolder moves, and they come from a much more grounded place, you've still sort of built that inner source of safety, if you like. Now, the world is telling us that, we may have some positive news in regards to some sort of commitment that arises through the month of January. But you're also, coming to the end of this cycle. And remember, we still have that kind of like hangover energy that comes through from 2023. Now this year we're working with a Numerology 8 years, so there's a firm emphasis around the development of our personal power, which means there's a lot of reward and achievement where we are specific and realistic about what it's going to take. And the thing I really like about this year, and it will be highlighted very strongly through January, is that even though we know it's going to be hard work, we're prepared for the challenge. We also now have this access through our higher wisdom and awareness, the spiritual journey that we walked last year through that 7-year, which wasn't easy, but demanded growth and expansion. And so the enlightenment that has arrived for you is now something that you can tap into, and it helps to develop that instinct, those intuitive gifts, that belief, that knowing, that trust, and that along with this commitment and this discipline and this readiness to just go, okay, I'm going to look this directly in the eye and I'm not going to turn away, are the very things that help you to prosper. And, January sort of sets up the mindset for that, and also kind of helps you to think about your intentions. For some of you, this will be, a welcome time of year to set the goals. For others, you just need that little bit more time for you kind of really feeling into the energy and giving yourself that time to continue to hibernate or reflect. But the new moon will spark something, and it does open your horizons. And it's also about recognizing like how far you've come. Like the accomplishment piece is really necessary. When the world steps forth into the reading, it's like, okay, we're about to have a huge shift here, huge change. But before we do, let's really ensure that we understand what we've just been through and how it's helped us, supported us, changed us, enabled us to evolve. There is a messiness that continues in life, and specifically in our relationships, right? So Capricorn energy, 7th house for you. There's going to be a lot going on in terms of some of those frank, honest, open discussions. Now, the day after the new moon in Capricorn, we've got Juno, asteroid goddess, stationary retrograde in Virgo. She moved into the sign in October and has this extended stay because of the retrograde. Remember, Juno rules partnerships, agreements, marriages, contracts of any nature. And so when we're in this retrograde cycle, we want to revisit things, and usually from a place of being unsatisfied or, picking holes in things. And, with that very sort of discriminating Virgo eye, we can get overly critical or a little bit judgmental. So there might be a few things that come up that feel a bit messy. And, when we're trying to figure out, do I let go? Do I hold on? Do I be open? Do I protect? And, for some of you, it won't just be about romantic relationships. It's also going to be about where there are professional things in place, contracts or agreements that you're signed up to or considering. And so you'll want to relook at this. And it's going to be a really powerful time over the next few weeks with Juno to help you to do that and to then create a plan and a way forward that feels better. Now remember, this isn't about settling, Cancer. This is about compromise, yes, but compromise can be about finding a solution that you can be satisfied with. If the compromise is making you feel like you're settling for something that you're unhappy or dissatisfied with, then it's not going to work. So the 7 of Wands, puts you under a little challenge as you come out of that new moon energy to deal with something, but also requires you to be upfront and say, look, this is not okay, or yes, this can work for me. And in that, you're going to be calling out. And I think if you witness, and you may well around that sort of midpoint of January, feel that there are people not being super honest with you, well, it's likely that, they're not being honest with themselves. So, we can read into a bigger picture there about, how much you want to continue to invest, devote, and commit your time, energy, and attention in this direction. It's not bringing about like the finality of things, though. It's not like I just see this, big, powerful sort of endings and breakups happening. Rather, it's just like a review, a critical review that's necessary to ensure that we may, insert new break clauses or new milestones or new things that are just going to give you some peace of mind. And particularly because of that new moon accent with the freedom needed, we're ensuring and just kind of protecting you, I guess, down the line as well, to make sure that anything that you do continue with or end up signing up to at this moment in time, you can feel some peace of mind over, shall we say. Yeah. Now, the thing to remember with the 7 of Wands is sometimes when we feel like we're constantly on the defensive, we can start to struggle a little bit with trust around what is showing up. And what I also want to say is you have like a lot of new faces and new things coming in, sparked from that new moon 4th in January. And these feel really exciting. These feel like they can absolutely add to your experience in some really profound ways. So what we need to just be a little bit mindful of is that we're not so ensconced in a particular drama or, feeling like we're having to constantly justify or defend, or we feel like we're being, sort of put against, that, you know, we don't recognize those for what they are, or we don't give them the time and attention. And then it's not that they disappear, but, you know, they kind of go on the back burner. And this is a time when you're supposed to be making headway. January overall is a sort of month of like hustle and hibernation. And so, you know, depending on where you're at, how you're feeling, what your energy is telling you to do, you're going to have to sort of work to oscillate between those two experiences. And the hustling might just, you know, be a handful of days through the month where you just get an awful lot done in a short space of time because you've just allowed yourself to kind of trust in the rhythm of things. The Three of Wands I like because it gives us that outlook towards what we want and what we want to try and achieve. There's a strength of determination and a depth of awareness that comes in that is asking you to step up. And I think you're aware of that. You're contemplating like an area, perhaps more than one, through the course of January where you're like, okay, I really need to sort of step my game up here. I need to show a different side of myself. I need to believe more in myself. I need to push this agenda that I have forward because it's directly connected to the visions that I have. And, you know, I think that, you know, is something that we can give time and energy to, because this isn't something that we're chasing, you know, not like what I talked about at the beginning of the reading. This is about what it's going to take for you to be able to realize some of the ambitions and the things that you know you are capable of. And this is the, you know, the thing I think when we're, you know, working with that energy of the Three of Wands, it's just like there's a certain degree of certainty. There's an unknown component as to sort of, you know, quite when it might arrive or the way in which it will show up fully. But there is this inherent kind of inner belief and this trust that, well, I've done enough to get to this point and I'm continuing to kind of show up and be energetically aligned, vibrationally matched to the things that I know are right for me. And I think that makes a huge difference to you in January. So it does give you that kind of inner confidence to keep moving. No person is sent to you by accident, so pay close attention to the ways in which people are showing up through the course of this month. Now, as we make our way towards the Sun in Aquarius from the 20th, of course we'll see Pluto coming out of Capricorn, moving into Aquarius till September, a final dip back into Capricorn, and then fully stationing direct there in Aquarius from the 19th of November. So we're all going to feel that shift. You had the prelude of it in 2023. And we feel it personally and collectively. We've got another 3 coming in. I quite like this because it's just, it tells me that in January there's the ability for you to kind of work with what you've got. Yeah. And, you know, even though there's an influx of new energy, we are still sort of managing with a lot of legacy stuff and kind of hangover energy of things, still continuing to try to wrap things up and move forward and move on. But it shows me that, you know, you have a real willingness and an ability to kind of connect to people and experiences that you're going to feel like you're making headway. You're going to feel like, okay, you know, even if this is just about setting up the preliminary foundation or the initial plan for something, or even if it's just about having a really fantastic, frank conversation that like makes it clear where everybody stands, whose, you know, roles and responsibilities, you know, and this kind of a nature of things, this will make a massive difference to how, again, you perceive the potential and the possibility of things being able to support you and in some of the choices that you want to make moving forward. Venus also shifts into Capricorn on the 23rd, so our love language becomes one of commitment and devotion and realistic kind of outlook toward the future and wanting to make things work through, you know, the investment and, you know, really wanting to kind of make a statement. You know, a lot of power couples can emerge in that kind of dynamic. It's not always the most sensitive and emotional, but, you know, that's okay. I think you can bring your own innate heart energy to those dynamics and actually help to use that, especially to kind of have the agency to really demonstrate your value and what you bring to the table, which again will help with the negotiations that get, you know, flagged up with Juno stationing retrograde, and also help you to be more clarifying in terms of the things that you do want through the course of this year. Now we also have a big full moon coming in on the 25th. Full moon in Leo at 5 degrees, and it's challenged a bit with Jupiter. So there's a very sort of loud, provocative feeling that's coming through. One can give the performance of one's life around this energy. Everything is on the line. And, the heart speaks. And you've got the Knight of Swords. So the message, the focus, the sort of dynamic, vibrant energy that can happen is quite powerful. So, this is a moon that can definitely help you when you need to be seen, to be recognized, to get your message out, and to just even nurture that Dutch courage that you might need to just face something, or to put yourself out there and allow that spotlight to shine and take center stage. And really be fearless in how you want to express yourself. What we do need to be mindful of is that it can bring about an awful lot of attention seeking and ego and drama. So, you might find people getting carried away a little bit, or even you yourself going a bit further than you'd expected or anticipated. And it can create change and some powerful ripples of change, because a couple of days later we've got Uranus stationing direct. And here, the progress requires some really bold action. And so, coupled with that Leo need to sort of have everybody hear the message, then, there's some sort of shake up, wake up feelings that are definitely set to raise a few eyebrows towards the end of January. But I think to the positive, because you're building up to it with these threes that come in with a very generative, open, willing, kind of positive frame of mind, I actually think this can do really well for you, and you can take that message and it can carry far, because you're incredibly disciplined and focused about what it means to you, how it's going to help you. And this can also bring about some surprising energies. Remember, Uranus is always going to have a little shock or a little something up its sleeve that we weren't anticipating. So also be prepared. Perhaps somebody sees you or hears you, or you see or hear something. These moons are about revelationary information coming to light, and that can act as a catalyst for an awful lot of passion and intense feelings and emotions. And so again, this is where feeling a little bit challenged perhaps, but overall this theme of you kind of having a new take on things is also going to support any sort of messiness that maybe comes through. Now there's something around that end of the month as well that might not feel particularly natural to you. You might be going against the grain a little bit in terms of how you normally do something. So it could be a little bit out of your comfort zone. And, when we do something that doesn't feel natural to us, it's very easy to read into the experience and say, this isn't right for me. Like, this is not really aligning for me. But hear me when I say that something that feels a little bit unnatural is actually something that you need to keep pursuing. Okay, there's something about an energy coming in January that is going to take a little bit of time for you to adapt to, or to create some space for. Okay, and so if you can just give yourself permission to keep persevering with this, it won't be too long before it becomes something that feels a little bit more comfortable for you, and immediately you'll see the value that then starts to emerge from that experience. Okay, but initially that's what I'm feeling in, that you're going to be like, nope, this is not natural to me, I don't like it, I'm not doing it, that's it. So keep that in mind. Of course, we're going to be moving into, from a Chinese perspective, Year of the Dragon, the Greenwood Dragon, which is all about this movement and growth. So along with this number 8 year, this ability to prosper and really see significant gain in our lives in different areas is absolutely available to us. There's a directness to 2024, which in a way is refreshing, because even though we continue to deal with misinformation and false narratives and continuing attempts to sort of hide in plain sight, or to, project that you're one thing when you're not, and you know, you're seeing all of that, and it could be distracting, it could be disorientating, but because of the way that we're being grounded and our eyes are being wide open, but we're also harnessing this spiritual energy, you know, it creates this experience for you where you're able to keep forging ahead and not feeling like that bunny in the headlights, or constantly dragged to the side or pulled off down the rabbit holes. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is what's supporting us all the way through the year, but it will be really felt in January. If you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we look at in the extended version of my reading. You can find the link in the comment and description box underneath. We'll talk for another 30 minutes or so. We'll also look at a relationship card and a personal question for you. So I hope you will join me there if the reading is resonating. I'm just going to clarify now and see the direction we're going to be taking this. Queen of Cups, Temperance. The World is coming through the Queen of Wands. Beautiful. Another Knight of Swords showing up for you. Ace of Wands. 7 Pentacles. Another energy of the world. I like when we get these emphasized messages. Chariot, which is of course your card, so that's lovely to see. And the 8 of Pentacles. This feels like a competent experience, you know, and one, like I said, hustle and hibernation, and it's like if you really work with the rhythm that suits you and feels right for you, body, mind and soul, then I think that you're set to see through the experience of January just how, to the degree to which you've changed, and also to really help you to kind of let go of those things that feel like they're still creating this kind of ambulance chasing energy around you. Okay, let's have a look at some oracles. So if you're new to my channel, Cancer, Life Soul Vision is my own personal deck. Please take the time to check out this sacred title along with all my other offerings. You'll find that over on my website. Links are below. Throat energy. Detours from the divine. We've got new moon coming in. And equinox. Portals of possibility, love that for you, along with that Wheel of Fortune and Blossoming Soul Song, lovely. Okay, all the decks I use are always listed as well, okay. Let's have a check here on the Energy Oracle for Cancer for January. Okay, we have the Temple Path. And finally, from the Crow Oracle, what do we have for you, Cancer, for your month ahead? Communication. Okay, we'll explore these in the extended. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. Have a really beautiful month. Take care of yourself and those you love, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.